Yo, 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 it's Cinderella Sew. What up? Today I'm going to restyle this sweater by cutting the neck off and adding a patch to the front. Yeah! So the first thing we're going to do is cut a nice scoop neck on the sweater, and we do that by pulling the neck until the shoulder seams line up and then holding those together and flipping the sweater on its side. And now we're just going to smooth out the area around the neck of the sweater. Make sure your shoulder seams are stacked right on top of each other, the one there and the one below it. So we're going to take a good pair of fabric scissors, cut into the sweater a couple fingers below the neck, and then curve up to the shoulder seam. Hit the shoulder seam right where it meets the collar, really close to the collar, and then cut really close around the back of the neck. You don't want to make it scooped at the back or it will fall off your shoulder. So we're going to go about 3 fingers below the collar, cut straight in, and then start to curve up towards the shoulder seam. And then we'll just cut off the rest of the collar. There we go. And now when you unfold your sweater, you have a beautiful scoop neck. You can sew this down if you want, but you don't have to. But I'm going to fold it down once and sew all around the collar. I'm just going to take a needle and some thread, cut off a piece of thread about the length of your arm, and then thread it through that tiny hole in the top of the needle, pulling it through until the ends meet at the bottom. So we're going to start at one of the shoulder seams and just fold it over once, and then with our needle and thread, go in through both layers of fabric, pull your thread almost all the way through but not through, and then go back through the same holes again. And before this loop of thread closes, just put your needle through it and pull that tight. And then we'll do that a couple times, and this just knots your thread in place. Just like that. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side of the shoulder seam. Now we're going to sew all around the collar just by going through the sweater and coming up through the collar, pulling your needle through. So this is just regular stitches. When you start to get low on thread, you want to do a couple of those knots by putting your needle through the same hole you already went through, and then put your needle through that loop of thread and pull it tight. And do that a couple times, and then you can cut your thread off, rethread your needle, and start again. Boom! So now we'll start close to where we left off. So now we're just going to sew around the back of the collar. So we're back to where we started, and now we're just going to make a couple knots, and then we can cut our thread off. So we'll go close to the same holes we already went through, put our needle through that loop and pull it tight. And do that at least 2 times, and then you can cut your thread off. And you're done. Nice sew down collar. I'm gonna put a patch on the front. So this is the image I've cut out of a t-shirt. Position the patch in the middle of the sweater. So I'm holding together the sweater and the patch. I'm going in through both pieces of fabric and go down and up with your needle in one motion. Then pull your thread almost all the way through, but not through, and then go back through the same holes again, and this will make a back stitch. Before this loop of thread closes, you just want to put your needle through that and pull it tight, and that will make a knot. And we're going to do that knot twice, or you can even do it 3 times just to knot our thread in place. And now we can start sewing all around the patch. So to sew, all you do is go down and up and then pull your needle through and pull the thread till it's nice and smooth. And every now and then you want to do a back stitch, which means you just take a step back and come out close to the hole you just came out. So you can do more than one stitch at once by going down and up, down and up, down and up, and then pulling your thread through. And this is called a running stitch, which just means you're doing more than one stitch at once. And then we'll do a back stitch to hold that in place. So we're going to keep doing a running stitch all the way around the patch until we get back to where we started. And when you get to a corner like we are here, you always want to do a back stitch. Turn this around and keep sewing. Another trick is to put your hand under the first layer of the sweater and hold the patch in place. And this makes sure you're not sewing both layers of the sweater together, so you can still put it on when you're done. And when you start to get low on thread, like I am here, you just want to do a couple of those knots and then you can cut your thread off. So doing a knot means you just go out close to the same hole you already came out and then put your needle through the loop of thread and then pull it closed. And that just knots your thread in place. So when you've done that a couple times, you can cut your thread off, rethread your needle, and do the same thing all over again. Now we'll just keep sewing all the way around the patch until we're back to where we started. So now we're right back to where we started. All we have to do is one more stitch and then a couple knots to hold our sewing in place, just like that. Now we're all done. Now we have this cool patch on the front of our sweater. So that's how you restyle a sweater. Thank you for watching Cinderella Sew, and I will see you soon. Peace.